Okay, it's a great pleasure for me to introduce Rahul Kumar. He's a postdoctoral fellow in IIT Gandhinagar, and he very recently submitted a very um, nice thesis. Um, and he got his PhD under the direction of Atul Dikshit, who was one of the organizers of this seminar. So we are very pleased to begin. So Rahul is the first amongst the PhD students from this group, in some sense, who will give a talk in this seminar. And I hope there will be a long line of people following Rahul over the next few years. Certainly, we can see a few people already there, who are expected to finish in the next 1 year or two. So it's a great pleasure to welcome Rahul to talk on a generalized modified Bessel function and explicit transformations of certain Lambert series. Okay, Rahul.
Thank you, sir, for your kind introduction. So let me share my screen. So is it visible? Hello.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So good evening, everyone. So title of my talk is generalized modified Bessel function and explicit transformation of certain Lambert series. This is joint work with Professor Atul Dikshit and Ashita Keshavani. This talk is actually depend on our recent work, which we have submitted very recently, back to 2-3 days back. And that outline of my talk is as following. First, we will discuss about this series, which involves this generalized divisor function and some its historical background and some applications in analytic number theory. And then I will be discussing about generalized modified Bessel function. And as I have written in my abstract that there is one master identity, so then I will talk about what is that master identity, and then various special cases of this master identity. And at the end of my talk, I will be discussing about a new transformation formula involving RK of n. So let's start with some definitions. So as we all know that modular forms of weight k are functions which are defined on upper half plane to complex numbers, and this function must satisfy the following two properties: that f must be a holomorphic function on upper half plane, and f must satisfy this transformation formula for every h in upper half plane and this every matrix in SL to Z. Okay, and for an example, classical example of modular forms are the Einstein series denoted by this Ek of Z, and where k is an even positive integer greater than 2, right? And it can be given by its Fourier expansion like following: Ek of Z is equal to 1 plus 2 over zeta of 1 minus k series involving the sigma k n minus 1 function. Okay, so today's talk will be around this series. We will be discussing about this series always in this part of my talk, which involves the sigma a function, and it can be equivalently written in this form also, n raised to the power a divided by exponential ny minus 1. And this sigma a n function, we know it is a generalized divisor function. And here is any complex number, and we have to fix y such that real part of y is greater than 0. So if you take any odd positive number, then the series is essentially Einstein series of weight 2m plus 2, right? It can be seen from this Fourier expansion, right? If you take k equal to 2m plus 2, you will have here sigma 2m plus 1, right? So this series is nothing but than Einstein series for odd positive integers. And if you take a equal to minus 2 and minus 1, that is negative odd integers, then this series sigma n exponential minus n and y represents Eucler integrals corresponding to the Einstein series e2m plus 2. Eucler integrals are nothing but anti-derivatives of Einstein series. So we have considered all integer values except a equal to 1 and a equal to minus 1. So let's see what happens when you take a equal to 1 and a equal to minus 1 in this series. So for a equal to 1, this series is essentially the Cauchy modular form. It is not a modular form, but it's something called Cauchy modular form. And for a equal to -1, this series is what appears in the transformation formula of the logarithm of the Dedekind zeta function. So I will be discussing more about this transformation formula in later part of my talk. So from this discussion, you may have seen that for if you take any odd integer, either it is negative odd integer or positive odd integer, this series plays an important role in the theory of modular forms. Okay, more than that, if you take a equal to -2 and -1, you get this Ramanujan's formula for zeta 2 n plus 1. Right, this is here you can see that zeta 2 n plus 1, and here you can see again that this is sigma -2 and -1, this term, right? So question is that what happens when you take even integers? So before going in that part for a equal to 2m even integers, let me say that this formula is very important in modular forms and all. So for the history and implications of this formula, one can see this paper by Burnt and Stowe. And in all of the cases for odd integers, a and odd integer, we have seen that sigma of a n exponential n by minus n by the series satisfies a transformation formula and hence plays a fundamental role in the theory of modular forms. So however, in an explicit transformation for this series, when a is an even integer, is surprisingly absent from the literature except one case a equal to 0. What do I mean by explicit transformation? Some transformation involve line integrals or big O bounds. So by explicit transformation, I mean that it does not involve any line integral or any big O bound. It may have the series on the both sides, but it must not have any line integral or big O bounds. So for when you take a equal to even integers, there were no explicit transformation in the literature. However, there are many transformations which are not explicit. For example, Gunant studied this series for a equal to 2k, but his transformation actually involves a line integral. So that destroys the modularity of that transformation formula. Okay, so now let me say that what is the transformation formula when you take a equal to 0. So when you take a equal to 0, you sigma of a n reduces to d of n, which is a divisor function, and it satisfies this transformation formula. And this, what are these u functions? These u functions are known as tricommon confluent hypergeometry functions, defined in terms of these 1f1 functions. And these 1f1 functions are nothing but confluent hypergeometry functions, which are well studied in the literature and are entire functions, which can be given by this infinite series, where these symbols are nothing but Pocamber symbols, which can be given in the terms of this quotient of gamma functions. Okay, so as we have seen that if you take a equal to an odd integer, the sigma of a n exponential minus n by the series is very important in the theory of modular forms. So what is importance of when you study this series for even integers? Is there any importance, or just there is no importance of this when you take a equal to any even integer, like a equal to 0 or 2 or 4? So for that, to explain that importance, let me first define what are the moments of Riemann zeta functions. So it's an important problem in analytic number theory in which we study this L2k t quantity, which is 0 to t. This is integral. So it is conjectured that this L2kt is asymptotic to ck t log t raised to the power k square for positive constant ck when t tends to infinity. Unfortunately, only for two values of k equal to 1 and k equal to 2, we have asymptotics known for this L2kt. For other values, we have just conjectures. When a equal to 0, what Laurent Lucarin did, she proved this transformation formula for dn, which involves this big O bound, you can see, and by an application of this transformation formula, she proved the second moment of zeta function, which was proved before by Atkinson, but she gave another proof of this formula by using this transformation formula. So these transformation formulas have very non-trivial applications also. These are not just for the just sake for the formulas, but it does also have very non-trivial applications. So let me give you one more instance where these transformation formulas are very important. So for that, let me define what is called smoothly weighted movement of the Riemann-Zeta function. So people does study these type of integrals also as delta tends to 0. And when you take k equal to 1, the best formula for this quantity was a main term plus an asymptotic, which was not convergent when you take delta tends to 0 plus. And when recently in an interesting paper, Batten and Cornell, what they did, they found out one transformation formula for this series sigma of n exponential 2 pi nz. You take for any complex number, and by using their transformation for this series, they provided an exact formula for this quantity L2 delta. Their formula is an exact, and their series, that asymptotic series, is also convergent. And by another application of that transformation formula, they provided a simple proof of Voronoi summation formula. So before Batten and Conde, people were studying this series for only for a positive integer or odd integers or real numbers. But Batten and Conde are the first one. They actually considered this series for any complex number. So you may see that situation is like that. Before Riemann, Riemann-Zeta function was studied only for odd integers or even integers. But Riemann was the first one who considered that Riemann-Zeta function for complex numbers. So, and rest is the and that is the same situation is here, that before Batten and Conde, this series was studied only for real numbers or integer values only. So they are first one they which considered the series for complex numbers. But if you see their transformations in this reference, you will see that their transformation is also not explicit. It does also have a one line integral. So what is our goal in this whole literature? So as we have seen that either an asymptotic estimate for the series is given or a transformation involving line integral. Hence an explicit transformation is missing in the literature. So what we did, we fill this gap and obtain an explicit transformation for this series sigma of n exponential minus ny first. For any complex number, real part of a greater than -1, and then later we extend it by analytic continuation for real part of a greater than -2 and -3 for any complex number. This condition may look you some foundation that you cannot take any complex number, but it is not that the case, right? If you want to take any complex number, this m is arbitrary, so you can go back to any whatever you want to you go. Okay, so this m is actually arbitrary. Okay, so we then obtain as a corollary of our master identity not only the well-known results in the theory of modular forms, but also new transformation for sigma 2m and exponential minus ny. As I have mentioned earlier, that even for even integers, we don't have up to now explicit transformation for this series. So to state our main result, let me give you some definitions. Let me define some functions. So first one is that the generalized hypergeometric series, which is can be given by this infinite series. The notation is this PFQ. This P number of parameters, you have this P, and for these Q number of parameters, you have here Q, and these P number of parameters will be in the numerator, and these Q number of parameters will be in the denominator, and then you have Z raised power n factorial. So this is the definition of generalized hypergeometric series. So in later part of my talk, this hypergeometric functions will be appearing very frequently. Sometimes we will have 1f2, 0f3, and 0f2. Okay, so it can be easily seen that this above series converges absolutely for all z if you have p less than equal to q, and it will converge absolutely for p equal to q plus 1 and only in mod z less than 1. And it will diverge always for p is greater than q plus 1 if series does not terminate. And these symbols, as I have mentioned, they are the shifted factorials. So as we know, these are the Bessel functions. So Bessel function of the first and second kind can be given by this following infinite series. When nu is an integer value, some natural number, you have to take limit because of the obvious reasons, because we have this sin pi nu in denominator, and this gamma function is Euler's gamma function. And modified Bessel function of the first and second kinds are defined by this I nu and k nu in terms of this j and y nu. So these are the definition of Bessel functions. Okay, so now let me discuss one paper of Koshlyakov titled as Note on Certain Integrals Involving Bessel Functions. So in this paper, Koshlyakov studied many beautiful results. One of them is the following. So you can see here that if you integrate this modified Bessel function k nu against this kernel, you are again getting back to that's the same kernel, same modified Bessel function k nu x, right? And this m nu is nothing but 2 by pi k nu x minus y nu x. So this kernel is combination of trigonometric functions and Bessel functions. So Koshlyakov given this result for this range of nu, but it can be shown that it is actually valid in this strip of nu. This kernel is not just for integral transforms and all. This kernel actually has very prime importance in analytic number theory because it appears in Voronoi summation formula. I will be giving reference where it can be found out in later part of my talk. So in the same paper, what Koshlyakov did, he actually generalized this result to by another one more parameter. What he is doing, he is introducing one more parameter here, t raised to the power mu plus nu, and he gave this explicit integral evaluation of this integral in terms of 1f2, which is a hypergeometric function. And if you take mu equal to minus nu, you will see that this left hand side is nothing but as we have here, right? That means this right hand side must reduce to modified Bessel function k nu x. And that is what the case. If you do some calculation, you will see that this right hand side is reducing to k nu x. Okay, so that means this right hand side or left hand side can be conceived as a generalization of modified Bessel function k nu x, because you are getting k nu x as a special case of this formula 1.4. So up to now, this thing was not observed in the literature, and even there was no proof known. Koshlyakov does not provide any proof of this formula. So for the first time, we are providing proof of this formula in our paper, and this was also not observed before that this is a generalization of modified Bessel function. So I will not present the proof of this formula, but I will be using this formula. You will see that this formula is very important in our work. Okay, so now what we did, we actually generalized this right hand side and gave it a name which we call mu k nu zw. We generalized this right hand side by one more parameter. If you take w equal to 0, you will get back to this function. So it's actually a two parameter generalization of modified Bessel function. So if you take w equal to 0, you will get back to Koshlyakov generalized modified Bessel function. And if you take mu equal to minus nu, you will get back to the modified Bessel function k nu z, right? If you take w equal to 0. So this definition is actually valid for any complex number nu, except it cannot take integer value, but it can take nu equal to 0 value. Why? Because here we have sin nu pi. That means we cannot take integer values, but it can take nu equal to 0 because these two quantities are equal to each other when you take nu equal to 0. So it's actually a removable singularity. So by having these definitions in mind, now I can present our main result. So this is the main result of our paper. For you fix real part of y greater than 0 and you take real part of a greater than -1, then this following transformation holds. So here you have this sigma of a n and exponential minus ny, and here again you have sigma of a n. So this is the transformation formula, which does not have any integral representation, any line integral or some big O bounds. And here you have this zeta minus a, zeta 1 minus a. When we will be proving this, you will see that how these terms are coming up. So by the definition of this half k half, half and k a half, you can see that this right hand side is nothing but, you can write in this way in terms of this generalized modified Bessel function. Okay, So now let me present what is called, we call it master identity. So this is our this identity, we named it as master identity. I will explain why we call it as a master identity. Again, you fix real part of y greater than 0. You take m any natural number, but it can take also 0 value also. Then for real part of a greater than -2 and -3, this following transformation holds. Again, you have the sigma of a n exponential minus ny, and this right hand side again you have sigma of an. You can see that this left hand side of this identity and this identity are same. So what we are doing something here in this sum end of this right hand side series. So I will explain what we are doing here, but we name this identity as master identity because whatever cases up to now we have discussed, that's Ramanujan's formula for zeta 2m plus 1, then Eisenstein series, Dedekind logarithm function, logarithm of the Dedekind eta function, E2 transformation formula for E2, they all are special cases of this identity. That's why we call it master identity. So now let me give you some outline of the proof, that how we arrive at this result. So this is the result of Cauchy-Lakov, right? As I have discussed in the last some previous slides. So what we did, here we are taking mu equal to half, and then we are making some change of variables, and we are using this elementary result that k half is nothing but exponential function. So if you do this change of variable, then you will see that this expression is nothing but this exponential minus t by t raised to power a by 2, and this kernel. As soon as you see this kernel, you may think to use the Voronoi summation formula for sigma n due to Gunend. What is that formula? That formula is like this. It uses the integral transform of this function f with respect to this kernel, and this kernel is the same as we have in the Cauchy-Lakov's result, right? So this formula is valid when you take real part of a between minus and half, and this fx and f prime x must be integrals, and f must be tends to 0, and these quantities must be in L to 0 infinity. So here you can see that sigma of an is coming up. So by having this definition of G in mind, you can see what we should take and as our f. So our G will be this, and f our will be this exponential minus t by t raised to power a by 2, and that is what we did. We have taken these fx is like this, and G our right hand side of Cauchy-Lakov result. So what is remaining is the to evaluate these four integrals. So if you take f of x like this, exponential minus x by x raised to power a by 2, it is quite easy to evaluate these integrals because you can use just definition of gamma functions, right? But when you take G and try to evaluate these integrals, that is not that straightforward. So we have two lemmas to prove these quantities, that x to the power minus a by 2 gx is 0, and this integral is like this. So we have two lemmas in our paper to prove them. They are not that straightforward, but not that much difficult also. So I'm not going in the details of that calculation, how we get it. But if you combine all these results and put it in the formula of Gunend, then you will arrive at this identity for this range of a between 0 and half and y greater than 0. We assumed in starting of the proof that we are taking a between 0 and half and y greater than 0 to simplify the calculation, and later we will extend the result by analytic continuation. So now we have arrived at this identity for this range of a and y, right? So to analytically continue our identity, what we do, we see that for what values of a, the left hand side is analytic, and for what values of a, this right hand side is analytic. So one can observe that this left hand side is analytic for every a. It does have some removable singularity, but it does not have any pole and all. So for real part of a greater than 1, this identity, this left hand side is analytic. So what is left to see is that this where this right hand side is analytic. So by using the big O bound of this half k a by 2, this generalized modified Bessel function as n tends to infinity, what we see that it behaves like n raised to the power minus half real part of a minus 2. And if you use the bound of this sigma of an, then you will see that this right hand side series is actually convergent for real part of a greater than -1. And it is easy to see that this summand is also analytic function. So by Weierstrass theorem for analytic function, we can say that this right hand side is represents an analytic function for real part of a greater than -1. So by identity theorem, or you say by analytic continuation, this identity must hold for real part of a greater than -1. And the similar argument can be done to extend this identity for real part of y greater than 0. So this was the proof of our main result. You may have observed that the formula of Koshlikov is very important to get it, this one. And I think that is what the reason why people were missing this explicit transformation for this sigma of an, because they don't have, they don't know, I think, this formula of Koshlikov. Okay, so now let me give some idea that how we prove that master identity from our main result. So again, you can see that this identity, this left hand side of our main result is analytic for any a, for real part of a greater than -2 and -3 also. So what problem is here in the right hand side? It is only analytic for real part of a greater than -1. So for that, let me state the Bigot bound of this generalized modified Bessel function. So we proved this Bigot bound for mu k nu zw. Here this am and bm are terms which are the finite sums containing these quotient of gamma functions. So what if you take in this lemma mu equal to half, nu equal to a by 2 and w equal to 0, you will see that this bm is 0 because of this gamma function, because it does have a pole here. So this bm terms cancel out, goes to 0. So what we do, we subtract the problematic terms from this summand half k a by 2. That means we subtract this whole term am and multiplied by this from this summand. Here we have subtracted that am term for w equal to 0 and added that same term to the right hand side. So now then we observe that this summand is actually behaving like n raised to the power -2m minus 4 and half of real part of a by 2 plus half of modulus of real part of a plus epsilon. So if you can see from here that this series on the right hand side is now convergent for real part of a greater than -2m minus 3 plus epsilon for any epsilon greater than 0. And again, you can see that this summand is an analytic function of a. Then again, by Weierstrass theorem for analytic functions, we can say that this right hand side is analytic function for real part of a greater than -3. So this left hand side is analytic for real part of a greater than -2 and -3. This series is also, that remaining thing is to see this, what is this infinite series. So by using this well-known fact that sigma zn n to the power s is nothing but product of zeta function, we can write this infinite series as this finite sum k equal to 0 to m and this zeta functions, because here this em is a finite sum, right? So again, you can see that this is also an analytic function of a. So by analytic convention, again, we can see that it's our master identity is also valid for real part of a greater than -2 and -3. So now I will be discussing various special cases of this master identity. First of all, I discuss a new transformation for sigma 2m, which was not known before. So if you take a equal to 2m in our result, you will see this transformation coming up for sigma 2m, where m is a natural number. Okay. And you may wonder that from where this sine hyperbolic and this SHI function. SHI function is nothing but hyperbolic sine integral, and this CHI is nothing but hyperbolic cosine integral, and they are defined by this integral definitions. So you may wondering that from suddenly from where these sine hyperbolic and SHI functions are coming up, because in our main result they were not present, right? Here we have this our main result as I am discussed, right? So this was true for real part of a greater than -1. That means we can take a equal to 2m in this. But when you want to take a equal to 2m, you realize that here you have problem sin pi a by 2, here you have 0. But then when you take equal to 2m here, these two quantities also equal to each other. That means you have 0 in numerator also. That means you have 0 by 0 form on the right hand side. But here you also have 0 by 0 form because of zeta minus 2m and the sin pi a by 2, right? So that means we have to use L'Hopital rules. That means we have to find the derivatives. And derivatives of zeta and sin pi a by 2 are very easy to find out. But main task was to find the derivative of 1f2 function. And we tried to see in the literature that can we find the derivative of this 1f2 in literature, but we couldn't find any reference for that. And then we have to prove that, and we proved that if you derivative this 1f2 function, you will get back this sine hyperbolic shi and cosine hyperbolic chi or equal to 2m. So because of this derivative of 1f2, we are getting these sine hyperbolic integrals and cosine hyperbolic integrals in this formula of sigma 2m. So in all of the formulas, when you take equal to 2m equal to minus 2m equal to minus 2m minus 1, you will always have transformation formula between these two series, sigma this series and something like this series. But what will be the case when m is negative? This sum and this finite sum will be gone, right? This will be an empty sum. So now let me we have taken equal to 2m in our formula. Now let me, if you take equal to minus 2m minus 1, what can we expect from our result? Because for equal to minus 2m minus 1, we expected that we should get Ramanujan's formula for zeta 2m plus 1, and that is what the case. When we take equal to minus 2m minus 1 in our master identity, we get this formula of Ramanujan. So this derivation of this formula from our result is very interesting calculation, but I will not go into that because it will again take half an hour to prove it from our result, because it has very lengthy calculation. We have to do very careful calculation because there are many cancellation and all. So, but I will now present one nice companion to this Ramanujan's formula for zeta 2m plus 1, which is for zeta 2m. So here you have zeta 2m plus 1 everywhere. Now we try to find one companion to zeta 2m plus 1. So here you have zeta 2m, half zeta 2m. Again, in Ramanujan's formula, you have zeta 2m plus 1. Here you have n raised to power minus 2m minus 1. And here again, we have the similar series here also. And on the right hand side, we have some differences in comparison to Ramanujan's formula for zeta 2m plus 1, because here you have half of zeta 2m plus 1 and then again the same series. But right now in our this formula for zeta 2m, we don't have that. Now we have gamma over pi zeta 2m, and this series is slightly different from this one. And but we have this finite sum involving this Bernoulli numbers. And the psi function is nothing but digamma function, which is a logarithmic derivative of gamma function. So this formula is very new in the literature. This was not present in the literature. There were similar formulas for zeta 2m. There was generalization for zeta 2m. There are various character analogs, but this formula is not coming up from those formulas from the literature. Let me give one example of that. So you define this Dirichlet series LSG, where G is a periodic function. Then Bradley proved this following beautiful formula. What he proved that if you take alpha beta greater than 0, alpha beta equal to pi square, then this transformation holds. And you can see the similarity between our formula and his formula. Here you have L2mg, again the same series. And here in our formula also, we have this zeta 2m and the same series. So what we can expect, if you take g equal to 1, we may have that our formula. But here this restriction is coming up that if g has to be odd, that means we cannot take g equal to 1 in this formula. That means we cannot recover our formula from this formula, from Bradley's formula. Whenever g is even, what is we are getting is L2m plus 1. We are not getting zeta 2m plus 1. We are getting now zeta 2m plus 1. right? So there is no way to get our result from the Bradley's result. So this formula is due to Bradley, and similar results also obtained by Bund in this reference. One can see in this reference there are very similar formulas for these character functions. So here you can see one thing, that things are different. Whenever we are taking g as odd, you are getting a function for even values, right? L to m, or you can say zeta to m. And whenever you are taking g even, you are getting one formula for odd integers, right? So our this zeta to m formula is very new in the literature. So now let me say more about this companion to Ramanujan's formula. So when you take a equal to minus 2m in our master identity, you will get the formula like this, which is not very nice looking formula. You have very cumbersome expressions, sigma minus 2m, then sine hyperbolic SHI and cosine hyperbolic CHI. And this is equivalent to that one that I have shown you, this beta to m1. This formula and that formula is equivalent. From here itself, we have go back to that formula zeta to m. And what we do use to reduce this is the recent result, which is on this integral is known as Rave's cosine transform. And you can see this result is actually in itself very beautiful, because this transform, this integral is actually, you can evaluate these integrals in terms of sine hyperbolic and cosine hyperbolic and hyperbolic cosine integrals, but the summation is actually nothing but log, in terms of log and psi function. So this is the main result behind the reduction of this formula to that nice looking formula for zeta to m. So I'm not going again in the details because it will take much time of my talk. So I will just saying that this is the main ingredient to reduce this formula to that zeta to m formula. So if you take a tends to 1 in our formula, what we get is the formula for transformation formula for E2 function, this Einstein series. So how we do it? So our formula, that main result was very big in appearance, but this E2 function transformation formula is very easy to see, right? So how we get it? So if you take a tends to 1, there was 1 f2, right? So if you take a tends to 1, you will get sine hyperbolic function. And if you use the special values of beta functions, then you can see that you are getting sine hyperbolic and cosine hyperbolic function on right hand side. And if you use the exponential definition of this sine hyperbolic function and cosine hyperbolic function, you will have the sigma n exponential 4 pi square n over y. And if you take y equal to 2 pi and alpha beta equal to pi square, that will lead to this formula for E2. And similarly, you can take a tends to minus 1 in our formula, and then you will get the logarithmic of the Dedekind eta function, which is as following. So I will not go into the proof of this because it is similar to the previous one. So now let me discuss a equal to 0 case, which will give Wigert-Bellman result as a special case, which I have mentioned in the very beginning of my talk. So these are the confluent trichotomy functions. What we actually in this paper find out a new representation, new formula for this Dn. So this was known to Wigert, but this was not known to anyone. It's log 2 pi n over y and the psi function. So again, this is coming from here itself, but again we are using the same result on Rave's cosine transform that I have discussed. So again we use this result to come to this new representation for this Dn exponential m minus ny. One may wonder that why this series is convergent. So by using the asymptotic of the psi function, one can see that this series is absolutely and uniformly convergent, because this log function will be cancelled out and this 1 over 2z will also cancel out from here. then you will have something like 1 big O of 1 by n square. That's why the series is absolutely and uniformly convergent. So this is the discussion on the transformation formulas of sigma of an exponential minus ny. So I couldn't take all the results from our paper, but I have tried to cover up all main results from our paper. So now let me, at the end, now let me discuss new transformation formula for Rk of n. For that, we have to go back to that Kochelikov paper, same paper, from where we have taken that integral evaluation, the generalized modified Bessel function. So as we have discussed earlier, that Kochelikov studied these two kernels in that paper, where this mu and lu functions are modified Bessel functions. And this is the kernel that we have introduced new, and if you take w equal to 0 and w equal to 1, you will get back to these kernels. How we are actually generalizing this, and this is actually valid for any nu in c minus z minus 0, and because you cannot take nu, and again you cannot take integer value because of sin nu pi function. And these 0f3 functions are hypergeometric functions, which are also known as hyperbessel functions. Their theory was initiated by Delior, and these hyperbessel functions have been found very useful in many applications. And for some application, one can refer to this reference to see some applications of this 0f3 function. And one can see very easily that 0f3, these 0f3 and these whole terms are analytic functions of nu and w. And for nu equal to 0, you will see that these two will be equal to each other, and because of the sin nu pi, you will have removal singularity. So that's why this g nu definition is valid for this part of nu. And w can be any complex number. So this kernel g nu is not new. In fact, it is a special case of well-known kernel of Watson. He introduced this kernel in this reference. And by using some existing results in literature, one can prove that this our g nu function is actually a special case of this Watson kernel. Okay, so Watson kernel and many other generalization and many other integral transforms of this Watson kernel have been studied by many mathematicians like Bhatnagar, Olkha, and Rathi, and Daya. In spite of so much work done on Watson kernel, its importance from the point of view of number theory has not been recognized before. For example, for nu equal to half, it was known that this g half function is actually nothing but a Henkel transform, this J Bessel J function. But it was also not observed before that for w equal to 0 and w equal to 1, we are getting the Kochelikov kernels. Kochelikov first kernel and Kochelikov second kernel, and these kernels are not important because of they have some very nice integral representations or nice integral evaluations. They have very prime importance in number theory. For first kernel, you can see this paper by Van Dixit, Roy, and Jarescu, where this kernel actually appears in Voronoi summation formula. And the second kernel, you can see this paper on which Atul sir has given one seminar in this seminar itself, I think August or September. So this kernel was main tool of this paper, the second kernel. Okay, so now let me give you one beautiful result which involves this J nu and mu k nu xw. So if you take x equal to x greater than 0 and you impose conditions for the convergence of this integral, you see that you are getting one integral representation for this generalized modified Bessel function in terms of this g nu function, which is a new kernel. And if you take mu equal to minus mu, you will again get back to this modified Bessel function. So as an application of this result, we get one new transformation formula for R mu k, that Rkn, sorry, Rkn. And what is this Rkn? We know that Rkn denotes the number of representation of a positive integer n as the sum of k squares, where different signs and different orders of summands give distinct representation. If you count R2 of 5, it will be 8. So our transformation formula for Rkn is as following. It is valid for real part of mu greater than minus half. And here you can see that modified Bessel function is appearing in the on the left hand side, and this generalized modified Bessel function is actually appearing on the right hand side. So we will see that how we have proved this. So one main tool of this to prove this is the following formula given by Guinan. Also this formula was known to Popov, but rigorous formulation was not given by anyone with proper condition and all. And that was given by that recently by Bernd Dikchet-Kem and Jarescu, and it can be found out in this reference. So this formula says that if you take k be any positive integer greater than 3 and you take m like this, then you take fx such that fx, f prime x, and these f double prime x all must be integrals. What do you mean by integrals? Integrals, fx is an integral means that f is an integral of some function, that is f must be written in this form, integral of some function where h is between minus infinity and x. Okay, and these functions fx, x, f prime x, and these all must belong to this L to 0 infinity, and it must satisfy this big O bound also, this f of x. And if you take the Henkel transform of this f function, this and denote it by gy, then it must also satisfy this big O bound. Then only this transformation will hold, f of n, g of n, and these two integrals. So you may have seen that it is valid for k greater than equal to 3. What happens when k equal to 2 and k equal to 3? For that, we have to impose one extra condition that f has to be continuous on this closed interval 0 infinity. And these fx and x prime x must be in L2 infinity. Okay. So what we did, we have to now take fn and gn, right? So as we have proved in our that theorem, that if you take mu equal to half here, right? So what is g half? G half is Henkel kernel gene JW, right? So if you specialize that, you will see that you are getting this integral evaluation. So from here you can see what we should take as f, as our f, and as capital G. So we take capital of f is like, let fx equal to this x raised to power mu plus k by 4 plus half k mu x, and g is like pi mu k half pi square x k by 4. So then remaining thing is to see to evaluate these integrals. So if you take fx is this k mu t, it can be evaluated by using the Mellin transform of modified Bessel function, which is a known result, right? So that's not a problem to evaluate that integral. But main obstacle to evaluate this integral when you take G's generalized modified Bessel function, and we did it in one lemma which says that if you take real part of mu greater than minus half, it is 0, and if you take mu equal to minus half, it is a non-zero quantity in terms of gamma function. And if you now club all these results in that result of Guinan, you will come to the result of our result for Rk of n, which is like following. Here, this you will get back to this for real part of mu greater than minus half and or mu equal to minus half. So this was the one new transformation for Rkn. There are many transformations for Rk of n which involves k mu n, but there was no transformation formula which involves this generalized modified Bessel function. So now let me give you some further questions which arises from our this project. So first one, I will say that are there any direct proofs of the transformation which we get special cases of our master identity? Like we have get one transformation formula for sigma 2m. So is it possible to prove that formula directly without using our transformation formula? That will be interesting to see. And in this paper, we have defined this two variable generalization of modified Bessel function. And we know that modified Bessel function has a vast theory in special functions. So it will be interesting to study this mu k nu zw function for further study. because in this paper we have just obtained those properties of mu k nu zw which are useful in our work. So right now we are also considering the applications of our explicit transformation formula of sigma of a and exponential minus ny in the theory of Riemann zeta function, as Batten and Conde proved movements of Riemann zeta function. So we are also considering those problems as an application of our transform formula. It is an ongoing project. And other questions are that in the point from the point of view of transcendental number theory. So this result we have studied, right? So Iridos, in this paper, he proved that this quantity dn exponent q raised to power minus n is irrational for any integer q with q greater than equal to 2. So if you take y equal to log 2 in this expression, you will see that for q equal to 2, this quantity will be irrational. That means we are getting on the left hand side an irrational number. So it will be interesting to see that if we can prove some transcendence result for any object for this series, or it will be very rare that we can prove something about this Euler constant. And in our paper we have many formulas for odd values of zeta function, zeta 3, zeta 5, zeta 7. So one of them is this formula for zeta 3, and we know this. If we can find out something from here that about this series or some like this series for the transcendence result. So these are the some questions which can be studied in this direction further. So I stop here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That was a very nice talk. Any questions?
Hello.
Yeah.
Rahul, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yeah.
Hello.
Thanks, Rahul, for a nice talk. Okay. So
Thank you,
it's
sir.
just a comment. Yeah. From my side, where Bruce Bernd actually he gave a more general formula for a generalized Eisenstein series, which he named. From that result, he was able to derive like Euler's formula for zeta 2m as well as Ramanujan's formula for zeta 2m plus 1. Yeah.
Yes.
So are you able to connect a similar kind of thing like Euler's formula is are you able to derive it, or you are getting a formula for zeta 2m?
We are getting different formula for zeta 2m. It is not the same formula for Euler's formula. It is a different formula. On both sides you have zeta 2m.
Okay, I see. From
Yes.
like Ramanujan's formula for zeta 2m plus 1, like both sides you are zeta 2m is involved.
Yes. It's like a that's why I said that it's one companion to that Ramanujan's formula.
Okay, I see.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure that many more results are going to come like in this direction.
Yes.
And one more just comment, you might have forgot at the beginning that holomorphic at I infinity.
For the modular forms.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Okay, nice talk.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Okay, other questions or comments?
Yeah, may I?
Yes, please.
Yeah, nice talk. The functions that you showed are the analytic functions of y. I mean, they are, of course, y has a real part, but is it also possible to think of them as complex functions? And do they have some definite complex analytic properties like holomorphy or merma?
Holomorph that series sigma of a n exponential minus ny.
Yeah, that and then your functions of these generalized Bessels and so on.
Yes, yes, yeah. That can be studied in perspective by that perspective that you are saying in, as a function of y. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and the series which you have started with, like real part of y greater than 0, that is
Mm.
analytic in that domain, real
Yes.
part of y greater than 0.
Yes, yes, that is analytic because that's what we did. First, we proved that our result for real y only, y greater than 0. Then we proved that both sides are analytic functions of y in real part of y greater than 0. Then by analytic continuation, you can say that both sides are equal to each other in this region, bigger region, real part of y greater than 0. By analytic continuation, you say by identity theorem, whatever you want to say. They are analytic as a function of y. Yes.
Does that answer your question, David?
There
Yeah,
is some
thanks.
disturbance.
Thanks.
There is some disturbance from somewhere.
Yeah. So I just wanted to make one comment. So you can see the e raised to minus ny, and then in the modular transformations, you see e raised to minus 4 pi square n by y. So that is similar to z going to minus 1 by z. If you just replace
Yeah,
y
yeah,
by minus 2 pi I z.
yeah,
So
yeah.
here, when in the case of the even integers, you can see how the modularity is obstructed in the sense that you still have minus ny and you, I mean n times y, and you have 4 pi square n by y. But you have now not the exponential function on the right hand side. You have this hyperbolic
That's the
cosine.
hyperbolic cosine integral. Yeah.
And also in the case of odd integers, you can see how the sine hyperbolic, cosine hyperbolic combine together to give you the e raised to minus 4 pi square n by y. So that also shows how the modularity is achieved for a odd.
Interesting. Any further questions or comments? So, Rahul, maybe you can stop sharing the screen now.
Atul, maybe to the speaker as well as to Atul.
Yeah.
Do you have any orthogonality properties of this? Sorry, is it from my side, the echo, or it's from somewhere else?
I think it's fine. I mean, we are able to hear you.
Is there some orthogonality properties? Because the Bessel functions they form an orthogonal set. Do you have something similar for this more general case?
We have not studied in that perspective, in that direction.
So right now, yeah, our I mean knowledge of this generalized modified Bessel function is somewhat limited to I mean whatever we required in order to get to these transformations is what we focused on. Like for example, we did not look for what kind of differential equation this satisfies in variable z in w. Those kind of things are perhaps they were out of scope right now for this particular project. But in future, yeah, we'll be interested to look at the function for its own sake.
Thank you.
Right. I think Gaurav, you are muted.
Sorry, if there are no further questions, I would again like to thank Rahul. It was a fantastic talk, and we are very, very happy, and we congratulate him for a very nice thesis.
Thank you.
Yeah, Dr. Rahul Kumar,
Thank you.
and we hope to see you again many times.
Thank you, sir.